Thor Love and Thunder is exactly what you would expect from Marvel at this point. It has great action and dialogue filled with quips. While there are a great few ideas in this film, a lot of this is quite generic and doesn't live up to the amazing standards of the previous Thor film, Thor Ragnarok. That film has everything this doesn't. It has a unique setting and plot compared to the other Marvel films, it has a lot of colour, and has great music choices. The newest film's music choices don't feel as creative. Instead of using a relatively obscure song, they choose the most obvious, well-known songs that fit the style. It would have been better to see some more creative music choices. While the action is a spectacle, as always, it lacks the danger these scenes need. All the main characters never feel like they're in any real danger. Thor literally beats the main antagonist the very first time they meet. So there is no going up against impossible odds. Every smaller fight with any weaker enemies seems like a cakewalk to our main characters. Even fighting gigantic monsters is not a threat. There was no point in this film where I thought the main characters were in any danger. The plot follows Thor after the events of Avengers Endgame, where he adventures with the Guardians of the Galaxy for a short while, until they are called to leave when their home is in danger from someone who was sworn to murder every god because of their mistreatment of humanity. This leads Thor to meet an old friend whom he had a long relationship with. However, it seems this person has gained some otherworldly powers from a relic of Thor's past. My thoughts on this film are complicated, because while I did enjoy the film, I have a big feeling it's not going to have a long-lasting impact on me. The film is fine to its fault. It's just okay enough to be watchable, but after that, it's hard to remember any given scene. The one time when this film tried to be different and unique was one of my favourite parts. When the film used unusual filming techniques and exciting concepts, these were the only times I was invested in what was happening. The good thing about Marvel Phase 4 so far is that Kevin Feige and the rest of the overseeing members of Marvel are letting directors be more creative with style. Miss Marvel, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and this film have all benefited from the extra creativity. However, one major issue with Marvel at the moment, which is leading to some viewers starting to feel burnt out by the universe, is the similar tone seen in all the films. I feel it would be an interesting experiment if one of the Phase 4 films or shows tried a different tone. It might lead to a new format that will lead to the conclusion of Phase 4 being a lot more emotionally strong than the previous phases. It would be great if one of these movies were more grounded. That is what made me excited when I watched the first episode of Miss Marvel, because it seemed to be going for a more casual format before it devolved into the usual Marvel action. Thor Love and Thunder needed more of an emotional core for me to be invested in. While it did have the romance between Thor and Natalie Portman's character, that was such a small aspect of the film that it wasn't enough to carry the emotional weight needed to make people care about what was happening. From here, I'll be talking about spoilers. If you'd like to know my rating, skip to this timestamp, but if you've already seen the film, you can continue watching. The final reveal of the movie is weird. After dealing with a major villain, Gore the God Butcher, they decide to bring their daughter back from the dead. As Gore dies, they are unable to take care of the child, so the responsibility is given to Thor. It seems like a strange direction to go with the character, but it is most likely that Marvel is trying to start the Young Avengers, because we already have a younger Captain Marvel, Thor, and Hawkeye. I'm not sure how well something like this will work, because in this film, we get a taste of kids fighting big villains, when Thor gives powers to children who were earlier kidnapped by Gore, and it looks incredibly goofy and bad to see kids fighting these shadow demons. If this is what the fight scenes for a Young Avengers movie would look like, I am not interested to see where this goes. The two end credit scenes were underwhelming this time, as the first showing Zeus, a god attacked earlier, in the film, recruiting Hercules to kill Thor. This gives me massive Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 vibes, where there was a teaser that never became relevant, and I feel this may follow a similar path. As for the second post-credits scene, it shows Jane Foster after their death at the end of the film, being accepted into Valhalla, which was more of a nice send-off to the character rather than something that would affect the plot. One issue I had with this film is the amount of fake-out deaths almost rivaled Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, because Korg, Valkyrie, and Jane technically had death fake-outs. And when you do something like that too many times, it loses all impact and makes every fight scene lose tension. One of my favourite scenes had to be the fight scene that was entirely done in black and white. The way they used the bright colours of the heroes' weapons was a memorable visual. It was nice to see that Korg finally found love with Dwayne. I hope if we see them again, they are voiced by a certain cameo from the Summer Games Fest. In conclusion, while the film is an alright time killer, it is likely you won't remember it past the credits. I would rate this film a 6 out of 10. As while it is well made, it lacks anything that makes it stand out from other Marvel movies and shows. If you need more superhero content, you may like this video where I break down the first episode of The Boys Season 3. If you would like to see any more reviews of current films, TV shows and games, subscribe.